Oh my, well, well. Hello, I'm Undal, and hello, Raiders. I am Viscera, Queen of the Cryptids and Mother of Monsters, and I welcome you to my woods. Now then, we're gonna get started pretty soon here, but we'll wait for Amy and Smog to arrive officially and make themselves comfortable here in these woods. But for this Sunday sermon, the topic will be monsters. All things to do with monsters. Their history, their social relevance, and our personal loves and affinities for monsters. And of course, I encourage all of y'all to share with us your feelings about monsters, your favorites, and just engage with us in this Sunday sermon as we preach about just how wonderful monster kind can be. So, let's see if I can't summon that Dark Lord to my side. Mason! Oh, and thank you for the follow, Darth Mordor. Welcome to the woods. And thank you, Skull Newt. Very happy to see you here. Thank you for following. And Sir Elk, well, hello, honey. I'm very happy to see you here in my woods. Very happy indeed. Now, how y'all doing, honeys? Oh, well, thank you, Elk, thank you. I quite enjoy yours as well. Very dapper. Oh, sneaking up on me. Just a moment, let me scoot over here just a little bit and make some room for you.
Lovely.
Yes.
Hello, Sir Elk. I believe we just met earlier today.
Yes.
Yes. I
Ah.
liked your tie. Oh, interesting. We were just having a conversation on my stream before we popped on over here.
No, yes.
Yes, we were discussing Digimon and our love of Digimon.
Oh.
Very well hand in hand with the love of monsters.
Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, and hello, Van. Hello, my dear. Welcome. Now, yeah, Digimon. Oh my goodness, I was obsessed with that show. Oh, and hello, Uncle Lobo. Welcome to the woods. Thank you for joining
Hello,
us.
Smog. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I just wanted to say hi. Smog was helping me with a lot of mod duties.
Ah, I see. I'm trying to get. Just a moment. Smart, can you send me your Discord reactive image? Because the one that I've got in here ain't working.
The image itself?
The link for the Fugi tech, my dove.
Oh,
Worry not, I'm pretty sure I got it for you.
And thank you for following DM Chaos. I do so appreciate it, and welcome to the woods.
See if that helps you.
Alright, let me see here. Let's get this fixed. Alright. Whoop, there you are.
Oh my god.
I am the tiny terror.
Yeah, Yeah. You are the terror that jars in the night.
Oh, but yeah, with Digimon, I think my favorite had to have been Garurumon and Were Garurumon because, well, I mean, who wouldn't like a companion that could turn into a big old werewolf? I mean, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, who doesn't want to mount Were Garurumon?
Oh, but I think just between that was very much a you know, I think we could say that it was almost like a an introduction to just monsters in general in a more palatable aesthetic for children.
I would
So-
say so. We were having the discussion that they were an awakening for a lot of people.
Yes, yes. And
I believe Smog even had one.
oh really?
Listen.
Do share with
Oh, no.
I can tell. Okay, I'll tell them. I'll tell Mr.
Yeah.
O'Brien.
do share. No. I need to hear this. I need no. Hang on, Amy.
To give you
Amy.
hints,
No. Hang on now.
you gotta guess.
But I wanna hear it from Smog. I wanna hear it from the monster's mouth, honey. What was your awakening, honey?
Well, actually, you know what? I'm interested. What would your guess be?
Now it has been a fair few years.
Would you like a hint?
Shush, shush.
Now, hang on. Angemon?
Oh, sweetie.
Well, I can't remember all of their names, but that's
No. No. I know my voice may seem.
Because I've been holding on to it. I'm so excited for this.
Ah!
And it's specifically what Smog doesn't want me to say. One of his primary moves is that he expels from his pelvis.
Oh, really?
See, I personally don't recall that part, but of course I wouldn't. No,
Alright,
I
well-
know my voice may seem angelic, but no, I was not leaning towards the heavenly.
All right. Well,
There
well,
was a particular.
Do remind me of the
All
name.
right. Okay. Well, it started with a particular episode where a certain Digimon got into the human world, and you see his particular palate tended toward blood, and he just happened to be out on a midnight stroll in his carriage, you see.
I see.
Perchance upon a nice, tasty-looking morsel of a woman, and me as a child was going, huh, that's interesting.
Smog.
Then he digivolved into something far more, and I was like, oh, oh my.
Oh dear. Well, now I need to know the name of this Digimon.
His first form was called Myotismon, and his next
Myotis.
form, yes,
Okay, let me
not
just
too
look
terribly
this up.
anything to look at, but after he becomes Devimon, then it was like, well, sir.
Ooh, I see. All right.
He becomes something quite extreme, which I quite like what he turns into. Venom, Myotismon.
Okay,
The little
okay.
bat on his waist shoots poison.
Yes.
Venom, my Otismon. Let me just
Yeah,
look that up real quick.
Yes, and then there was also the Devimon, which was just like they were all just in that group for me, and I was like, I can't watch this show in the presence of others
Oh my.
anymore.
Oh dear. Oh no. Now hang on, chat. Hang on. I have to show you. I need to show you what we're talking about right now because
Yeah.
oh my.
Indeed. Absolutely.
Okay, all
I'm
right.
being absolutely exposed.
Oh no, honey, I don't even blame you. I mean, just look at it. Look.
No,
Look.
not at all.
Chat. Look at this. Look, that's you, Smog, except white.
This is why nobody ever looks twice at me.
Oh. No, there's that one, and then.
I perceive you.
Oh dear.
Now you do have other forms, honey.
I do.
You ain't just a little puff of smoke. Then look at that one. Ooh.
Sorry. You can see his mouth open right at his pelvis, and his mini head is getting ready to fire. Look at that small head.
But honestly,
But that thing's about to fucking explode in somebody's face.
but honestly, like they could not have designed this character not knowing that it was going to be somebody's awakening.
Yeah, there were no innocent thoughts going into the creation meeting that day.
No.
Also, when I type in female, the first thing I see is female reproductive system. I fucking know what that looks like. Thank you, Google.
I was gonna
Well-
say, aren't you familiar with that?
Yes, I'm expertly familiar. Yes.
I need to not drink my water around you too.
Yeah, I apologize.
Oh, that
Oh
was
my
close.
goodness. No, I think. Oh, I'm trying to think. Now I know that shows like Gargoyles and things like Nightmare Before Christmas, when I was just a little tiny child. Now I had the biggest crush on Jack Skellington.
That
Aw.
explains a few things.
A fair few things, yes. Oh, and I don't. I was old enough to know, you know, what boys have and what girls have, but even though I couldn't make sense, it's like, well, what does a skeleton have?
Sexual, apparently.
Yes. It's like, please, Jack, just grind your pelvis into me. It's fine. Oh goodness! And then on the flip side, you've got gargoyles who are all muscle bound. Just tasty.
What was the bad guy's name in that? The normal guy. Is it like Xanadu?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Xanatos.
Xanatos?
Yes.
Xanatos? Yeah, I fucking love Xanatos. Like, that guy could fucking talk me to sleep. Xanatos, thank you, Spindly. And then, I like Goliath a fair bit, but I feel like Goliath took a backseat to Desmonda.
Demona.
That's the one. I'm getting a lot of monsters mixed up. Yeah, Demona. Like, fuck me. Oh yeah, I love Broadway. Broadway's hilarious.
Oh, Broadway was a sweetheart.
Yeah, they were all sweethearts.
And Brooklyn was, of course, the not exactly a bad boy type, but it's like he tried to be the bad boy.
Yeah, Brooklyn found a leather jacket and said, I'm going to base my entire personality around what I think this is.
Yes.
He tried.
He did. What was the dog?
That was Bronx.
Bronx? So was Bronx actually a dog, or was Bronx like sapient and just not able to speak? Because is this gonna be like a fucking, remember Dinosaur, how they have Earl? Like, is this an Earl situation? Do we just not talk about and not try to pay attention to the fact that he's clearly the dog of the group?
I'm honestly not sure. Spindly. Oh, and Fox, she was a stone cold badass, and she got a cool lycanthrope form. Oh, yes, I remember that, that episode when she turned into this, like, were-fox. And I just remember I remember the transformation, animation being very well done.
Yeah, I'm looking at her now as a werewolf. Yep, I see it.
But it's interesting to me how even the three of us having similar experiences with having certain awakenings and certain attractions to monsters when historically, now it ain't that I'm saying that this is a new thing. I don't think that people have only recently been amorous for monsters, but I think it's more we're a little more aware of it now.
I think so. Yeah.
But just socially, what monsters usually are there to represent. Usually, social anxieties about war, some, certain xenophobias, a lot of social anxieties that monsters tend to represent. I just find it interesting that a lot of people, usually those who are, some flavor of queer, whether you're lesbian, gay, transgender, wherever you are on that spectrum, it seems to me like the likelihood of you being attracted to monsters exponentially increases.
Yeah, I would definitely say that monsters and gay pride go together. Jason Voorhees, I promise you, only killing turfs. Jason Voorhees is out here doing my work.
Oh goodness, yes. And yeah, it's I think it absolutely speaks to if you're queer or if you're not and you just grew up as a bit of a social outcast for whatever reason, I think it just makes monsters much more relatable because of growing up feeling a little bit like you could relate more with the monsters in movies and television shows and things like this. I remember Guillermo del Toro saying something about how he usually related with what was it? The Creature from the Black Lagoon. How he watched those movies and he never liked that the monster would usually die in the end, and how he related with it from the perspective of as an immigrant and an outsider. He related a lot more with the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and he was rooting for the monster and wanted the monster to win and to get the girl and go off and live happily ever after. And that's why we got Shape of Water.
Yeah.
Me, a 13-year-old reading Frankenstein. I can change him.
Well, Frankenstein, the monster itself wasn't really an. Wait, I don't know. Were you into the Frankenstein or the monster? Because Frankenstein was kind of a dick, and the monster was only reactively a dick. So I'm not saying you couldn't not change the monster. The question really comes down to, did Dr. Frankenstein give the monster a dick? And then the second question is, did it have its own plug?
Oh my god. No, let's see.
You're asking the real question.
Hello, Leo. But let's see. Monsters are statements. They're warnings and anxieties. The very name comes from monstros, meaning warning. I think when you realize what scares you and make peace with that, the things that scare you become more approachable, even desirable. Yeah, I would say that that's valid.
I would say that would be the very plot of Babadook, actually.
Yeah,
Now, I have a confession to make.
Okay.
I have not seen the Babadook.
Oh.
What about Mother?
I don't. I know that I've heard it. I know I've heard of it, but
about the ghost that adopts two girls. And takes
no,
care of them.
no, I don't think I
No?
have.
It is legitimately beautiful and heartbreaking. Hold on, let me see. We'll watch
I'll
that.
write these down for us to watch at a later point.
Yes. Speaking of which, if any of y'all want to join the Discord, here we go. If y'all want to join the Discord, we do have movie nights.
It wasn't Mama, it
And
was Mama.
Oh,
Mama.
I was gonna say, because that was also wasn't that also a Guillermo del Toro?
Yes, it is. Yep.
God, I
Yeah,
love
Mama
him.
is legitimately beautiful.
Well, I will definitely, please do add that to the list because I want to watch that. I feel like Guillermo has. I feel like he really brought in a new perspective, and or if it's not new, at least it's new to Hollywood. As far as monsters go, where you either sympathize with the monster or you're at least fascinated with the monster, and it's less like, even if it's terrifying, you just can't turn away from it.
That's like Cloverfield, right? He did Clover, right?
Did he?
I think he did
Oh no, we have no sound effects. Oh wait, do we? Oh,
Beatronius.
There it is. Yes, okay.
Beatronius.
there it is.
I
Very
was I was caroused by that. It startled me, and then I was like, oh wait. Oh, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
That's alright. I don't know that he did Clover, but I think he had input on it or something to that effect. But the entire point of the Cloverfield monster was that it wasn't an active antagonist. It was a scared baby dropped in the middle of a populace that can't comprehend it. It wasn't actively attacking people intentionally. It was running away from, things that were hurting them. It's like if mice figured out how to use catapults.
Yeah. I loved the Cloverfield monster. Just the design and the fact that, it wasn't there trying to destroy everything. But, that's just what happens when you're a giant creature. Let's see. Wolfprint says, I want to point out that cultures outside of Christianity who see the Grim Reaper as an evil spirit, but there's religions that consider the Grim Reaper as a being who guides people where they're going, and there's a country that consider the scythe the wields, but I don't know what that is. Oh, he wields.
Reaping the human souls.
Yeah.
Most cultures see the Reaper as a kind, gentle being. Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I think it's all in how you view death in general. Whether the idea of death is something that causes anxiety, which I could certainly understand with the European version of Christianity, death causing anxiety just because of worrying about the afterlife and so on. But then you look at Catholicism within countries like Mexico, places that celebrate the Day of the Dead, and how death is less a thing to be feared and more just a transition into another state of being. So yeah, it's very much it's a cultural thing, yes. But I think that you don't necessarily have to not think of death as a scary thing to be attracted to a Grim Reaper type of monster. Because there is a kind of romance that goes hand in hand with, monsters and anxieties and so on. I don't know if y'all would agree with me on that.
No, I think that's a fairness to it.
Let's see, Spindler says, surprisingly, a lot of mythological stories about smooching monsters. Bubble Fairy knows way more about them. But one called The Lindworm Prince is all about a girl who falls for a dragon. Oh, I've heard of that. I think I've heard of that. Then there's the White Snake, a Chinese myth. I have seen... Okay. All right. I have watched an ungodly amount of this there's this live action. It's basically a soap opera. It's not American. It's about that Chinese myth. It's basically a Chinese soap opera about this girl, and it's not the scholar who falls in love with a snake demoness. It's switched around, where the White Snake is basically an ancient dragon, and he, in his little snake form, it's like he got injured or sick or something, and this servant girl finds him and steals him away, and takes care of him, nurses him back to health, and just thinking that this is just a little garden snake, and she takes care of him and everything. And this soap opera, I swear, I haven't seen all of it, but I've seen what there is to see on YouTube, and like that, there aren't, most of the time there ain't even subtitles, but I can at least read into the context of what's happening. And from what I could gather, this White Snake Dragon man, he's just absolutely in love with her. She doesn't know what to think of him when he finally reveals himself, and and like she likes him, but she's this is just how a lot of Chinese romantic soap operas go, is that they drag it out for as long as they can, and before anybody even gets a kiss. They've mastered the art of slow burn. And so he's an eternal being, and she basically keeps reincarnating, and so he seeks her out every reincarnation to try and woo her and win her over. And I don't know how many lifetimes he chases after her, and it's like, no, we can't be together, I'm so sorry, I'm whatever. And at one point she reincarnates into this life where she's a demon hunter, and he's, I guess, technically considered a demon. And she has to hunt him. It's basically like people who have OCs, that they just love the OCs, and so they just keep throwing them into different alternate universes to fall in love all over again.
Yeah, that's weird. Cool.
Oh, but yes, it was. it's very good.
Everyone in this chat, Teppy knowing this fucking soap opera is the only thing that I expected not to expect to expect.
and no tech knows it too. I'm glad I'm not alone.
Yo.
And then finally at the end of everything, he finally takes on his true form as the Dragon King, and his big Chinese dragon, and she gets up on his head and they fly around. And even then, she's just screaming the whole time. Just afraid that she's gonna fall off. Oh, goodness. So yes. Loving monsters, loving demons, and all these things that we're supposedly, forbidden to love, and we shouldn't love, and shouldn't have these feelings about terrifying things. I think it very much speaks to a lot of folks' lived experiences as humans, especially if you grow up being told that, it's like, you can't be with such and such person because it's against whatever societal rules are in place. And having to fight to defy that. And I think that absolutely falls in with monsters in general. You got people who keep telling you, it's like, don't hang around that person, they're a demon, or they're a werewolf, you can't trust them, and all these other things. But it's like we may not be human, but we still got feelings.
Fuck better.
I
was gonna say we all just want to be loved, but
Yeah. Sure, we do want to be loved. Yes, love. Yeah, that's the one. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, I think everybody's deserving of love. It doesn't matter if you are a succubus, an incubus, a werewolf, a dragon, a moth. Ideally a sapiens moth, but I guess moths as well. I'm not gonna fucking deny moth love. Who am I to deny two moths from falling in love?
Oh, Notek says a lich.
I don't think that exists.
Oh, well, what about you, Smog? Do you have a favorite kind of monster?
That's a loaded question.
Is the answer yes?
No, not necessarily. I suppose because being an artist, I'm very visual based, and if I can be persnickety, I suppose, upon the visual. Queer kids being told that queerness is an illness or corruption or sin. Of course, when we broke free from those environments, we'd fall for those narratives about creatures shunned or demonized.
Absolutely.
Actually, Spindly, I was going to add to your little thing about, monsters and history and tales. Like, have you ever seen a traditional greeting card for the Krampus? That guy was a womanizer.
Oh, yes.
He loved the ladies. There's so many greeting cards of him fooling around with a mistress or two.
I mean, with that tongue, my goodness.
Yeah, he fucking has it to spare.
And hello, Pure Fab. We're talking about monsters today.
And we're not talking about basically monster fucking, we're just saying, hey, there's a precedent.
Yes, we're talking about monsters in general, and and why there's such an attraction to monsters. But yes, Smog Honey, go on.
Oh, it's such a loaded question. Goodness. I guess my palette is a bit more limited, I guess. I enjoy things that sort of reflect me, so anything that is vaporous or can pass through walls or hide in shadows or travel through shadows, I find them extensively curious and intriguing, because in a lot of stories, in a lot of ghost stories, there's a sadness about them that just breaks my heart in the most painfully wonderful way. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but there's just something so charming about a lot of ghost tales, because while a lot of ghost stories are terribly frightening, and I mean scary, there's also just something that kind of draws you in about ghost stories, and I adore them. And it's another thing that I love ghost stories around the campfire. It's just, there's so many aspects outside of I really enjoy the things that because when it comes to monsters, a lot of people react with, oh, I could fight that, just get this, AR-15 out and this will take care of the problem, blah blah blah, and you're just like, okay, cool, tough guy, thanks, you're macho, awesome, good job. But then you throw a ghost in the mix and it's just like, okay, well, what you got now, tough guy,
Yeah, I mean, hey, I've been there. I could take 14 werewolves.
In a fight, right? In a fight.
I could take 14 werewolves.
Oh, and thank you for the sacrifice, Wolf Prince. And Hamster, I forgot about this, so there you go, honey. I'll allow it, just this once. But yeah,
Very smart, Pure Fab. Very smart.
hang on.
I'm a doll.
What? Let it be known that I'm always an undead lover, but will give the honey nut Cheerio to the tall monsters. Ooh, really? With most monsters, I'm not one to fuck with them. Unless it fucks with me, I'm getting the fuck out of there.
That's very smart. Very wise.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would say that is the key to long life.
But yeah, with ghosts, I think it's also this layer of, there's a certain kind of terror that comes with ghosts. I mean, y'all have seen me playing Phasmophobia and watching ghost videos. I'm queen of the cryptids. I'm mother of monsters. I can handle just about any kind of living monster. It might startle me for a moment, because I mean that's just how we are. But damn it, the only things that actually scare me are ghosts. I remember seeing the movie The Ring, and it's one of the only horror movies that actually legitimately terrified me. Because it's this concept of just this ghost girl. She's this malicious spirit who suffered a great deal, but was also, it's that story of being born wrong, and there's literally nothing you can do to combat it. There's nothing you can do to that spirit. You're not gonna shoot a gun at her. You're not gonna put up your dukes.
I don't know. I feel like the only way to stop a ghost is with another ghost. Really. And I don't feel like enough horror movies, you know, if they explain what happens to somebody after they die, then fine. Like, I think they do that in a few movies where, like, if the ghost eating their souls or something, then it's fine. But all I'm saying is I could probably fist fight the fuck out of her as a ghost. Like, you got me in round 1, I'll fucking give you that. But come round 2 when that bell goes off, ghost. Not to take away from what you were saying.
No.
I think it's a legitimate, terrifying atmosphere. That's just my one gripe with ghost movies. It's like, alright, you got me. Let's fucking go, though.
It would be interesting if we got either an anime or a movie or something about somebody who is able to weaponize ghosts, kind of like they weaponized Alucard in Helsing.
Another
Where-
awakening for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh
Very
yes.
fair.
Oh
I'll give you
yes.
that one.
Oh
Yu
Helsing.
Yu Hakusho?
Yeah. What?
I don't remember.
Yu Yu Hakusho, I think, like, the thing was, is, like, he was a ghost that would go out and fight ghosts. Like, he died pushing a little boy out of the way of a car, but the little boy wasn't going to die to the car was going to swerve, so he basically sacrificed his life for nothing. And so, like, the ghost people were like, well, you died way earlier than you were supposed to in a really stupid way that was actually, like, the boy got a scraped knee out of it. He was gonna be fine. But that shows you got a good heart. Why don't you go fight bad ghosts or something?
I have not seen it.
It's really old.
But oh my god, yes. Helsing awoke many things in me.
Oh, yeah. Rip
Oh.
Von Winkle fucking devastated me. And Integra.
Integra.
I love
Oh.
a strong individual.
Okay, alright. So I know it's a little off topic, but I can't help myself. Sir Integra Helsing, Ellen Ripley, and from Terminator, Sarah Connor.
Sarah Connor.
Oh, the holy trinity
Oh, yeah,
of
absolutely.
of strong women that there is a reason that I'm pansexual, and it's entirely on their shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Fairfax.
We had a conversation. If Sigourney Weaver came to my house and asked for a date, Caitlin has to let me know. Basically was the
yes,
conclusion we
yes,
came to.
yes.
It was Sigourney Weaver and, like, who plays Thor? Chris Hemsworth?
Chris
Yes.
Hemsworth, yes.
Yeah, I would fuck his face. Like, absolutely.
Semi-related note to Undeath. Doing anatomy and necropsies on animals gave me an almost fondness for life. If you know what all goes on behind the scenes, then you can understand what makes a person tick. Yeah, and I think it also it clues you into how fragile life actually is. How, just one little thing can go wrong and have a domino effect. And so it makes it a little bit amazing that every single day, we can wake up, go on about our day, go on about our experiences, and end up living for however long we do. Because obviously we are not guaranteed any day. But it's a little amazing to know what goes on with anatomy and everything, it does give you an insight. Just how fragile people are. And every single day is a blessing.
I think that's very beautifully said.
Let's see.
King Necros, I'm right there with you.
King Necker says, want to hear something funny? I'd only read the manga for Hellsing, and when I watched Hellsing abridged like a decade later, I learned Schrodinger was supposed to be a boy.
I'll say it, like, if you are androgynous, that is, like, one of the most attractive traits you can fucking have for a pansexual or demisexual person. Like, are you kidding me? I already don't care about your genital arrangement. I'm going to love you. If you can fit in that gray area in between, fuck it, it's over.
Oh, I'm scared, Omental.
If only I knew an androgynous individual who I could pin to a wall. Damn.
Oh, if only.
Anyway, if only. Let's see. Let's go back. There was a comment I saw earlier up. Let's just read that. But no.
Oh,
seriously, what was it?
Koi-chan. That was very sweet. It's a blessing to know you too, honey.
Aww.
I'm gonna go kind of backwards on this. The PeerFab, pause the chat so I can read this off because I thought it was a good point. I'll admit the type of ghosts that I feel the most sorrow for are the ones stuck in a loop and you know just enough to know how fucked they are. There was actually, and please do not hurt me for mentioning this show, but there was an episode of Supernatural where a ghost had been living a loop of her life, and the boys had to kind of snap her out of it and show her that she was indeed dead, and it was heart-wrenching, but it was such a good episode because it's just like I love ghost stories that aren't just about, you know, I mean, as much as I love, you know, the tearing and ripping apart of people, especially if they deserve it. I love me some content too, and that episode was just, it filled my heart. And then another comment as I wanted to talk about is honestly, Wolf Prince Snow said, honestly, my choice has to be the slime monsters. They can do anything, Lady Viscera.
Oh.
They can do anything. Anything at all.
Now, I don't know much about slime monsters. The only one that comes to mind off the top of my head personally is the Blob, and I would not touch that thing with a 10-foot pole.
I'm just saying, you get a spoon.
Oh, and hello, Tempestus Husky. Hello, honey. Let's see. Spindler says, for me, it's the created monsters, living dolls, stitched together. Hang on. What was it?
Again, monsters, robots, genetic experiments, etc. I can relate to that sensation of not feeling quite like you're a real person, like you have to somehow prove to the rest of the world that you're a person, just a person that feels things in different ways.
Oh, yes.
That's really insightful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've seen, as far as things like, now, I'm not saying that this is the only instance, but definitely with ADHD and autism, that can feel like you're not like everybody else. You're not human, exactly. It's almost like what was it? It's the legend of changelings, where the Fae steal a child and replace it with one of their own. And I feel like a lot of times when you have certain conditions like that, it can feel like that's what happened, that you're not exactly a person. You're trying to be. You try to mimic what you see around you, but you never quite fit into what society deems, quote unquote, normal.
Yeah, I would say that's a very astute observation.
I would say that would be why a lot of folks with any kind of depression or anxiety, ADHD or autism would find themselves relating a lot to the monsters because of
Yes.
that.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Being someone who, I live with depression and ADHD, autism, various neurodivergence, and absolutely, it makes you feel separate from other people, which can be very isolating and make you feel like you're not having the human experience that other people are. But then when you find other people who are like yourself, I think you realize that you're wrong, that you are a person, you have, personhood, you deserve just as much respect and dignity as anybody else. It's just that your brain is wired different. And I could absolutely see, why living with neurodivergence would give people an attraction to monsters, robots, mannequins, things that are close to human but not quite. Yeah, I could absolutely see how that would make folks relate with those kinds of things.
Again, I think that's a very astute observation and a very unique and interesting way to look into those. And I really like the ideology.
Let's see. Hamster says when they were younger, told the mom, waiting to be picked up and brought back to your own planet. Just couldn't understand why people were people. Yeah. When Spindly was a little kid, the hero was Data from Star Trek. Oh, bless him. Bless that man. Oh.
I like his life form song.
Oh, I loved Data. Data was an absolute delight. I hadn't. Used to watch Star Trek with my father. That was some of my best memories with my father. Was just sitting down watching Star Trek together, and Data was my favorite. Data and Geordi LaForge were two of my favorite. Ooh, and I cannot leave out Worf. Oh.
Gonna say.
Oh, that man. Oh.
I love Worf.
Oh my goodness. Oh. That
Worf is
man.
incredible.
I feel like my love of the Klingons just it groomed me to becoming an just absolutely rabid Predator fan, because there are so many similarities in their cultures.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I really liked Worf for his story that he told as an adopted immigrant, basically. Like, they had this. You remember the episodes with his parents on the fleet, and just kind of talking about, they wanted to do their best to not take the culture away from their son, and how they tried to keep his culture as an avid part of his life, and they didn't really have a stomach for the cooking or anything, but they did it anyway. And I think there's so many aspects of Worf that really kind of show you an outsider perspective for different things, or being born in a different kind of setting or mode than others around you. I think he's got a great story for it.
Absolutely. And thank you, Bedronius, for the spinal tap, the hydrate, and the snacrifice, and I guess for the head pat.
Well, I will do these things with you.
What?
I will do the hydrate and sacrifice at the very least. But Koi-chan poses a question: what does qualify one to be a monster? Is it being non-human? Is it being a horrible person? Or is it just being evil?
Hmm. That's a
find
good question.
monster to be a very person-specific term. When I think monster, I don't think of xenomorph or Yautja. I don't think of, any kind of aliens or anything like that, design-wise or lore-wise. I've always thought of monster to be more of a man-based term. In my mind, I've always found monster to not really be a creature, right? When I think monster, I'm thinking of movie characters like those serial killer guys, like Jason Voorhees, or the like. I've always had the separate with creatures and monsters.
Hmm. Hmm. That's fair enough.
So I guess my point is, I just think that it's kind of like a person-to-person definition.
Definitely. Because some folks, I think monster would be anything that is not natural to the world. When you're thinking of inhuman, they're not a natural animal. They're not living. So basically, anything that we're not familiar with within the living human world, I think you could technically define as a monster. And I think that just speaks to if we're gonna put it into social terms, you could chalk it up to a collective xenophobia. Because we have aliens and predators as as specific examples. They are alien monsters. They're not from this world. Their cultures are strange to us. We cannot understand them, and we cannot cohabitate. At least if you're gonna consider the film lore. Because I think I could quite comfortably cohabitate with a few.
I would
Yeah.
absolutely cohabit. I could take 15 Yautja.
In a fight, right?
I could take 15 Yautja. But no, I think you're right on the mark with that specifically, especially during, you take a look at B movies or monster movies based in the early 70s, 80s, 90s. So many of them are very much outside influence, something coming from the outside in to America at that time. A lot of those particular monsters were metaphors, or be it the Red Scare or any xenophobia that may exist. I think that's really brilliantly observed by you. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. I'd imagine real monsters are those of any species that creatures of evil creatures. Anything that's smart enough to know good versus evil and chooses evil without any cause is the real monsters. Koi-chan says, Worf was important to me because he as a character could be an analogy for someone who sticks close to tradition, but adapting their lifestyle to be more accepting of other people's beliefs. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Worf is a good being, and I love him. I would marry him and have all of his babies.
Yes, all of his Klingon babies.
Yes. PureFab would happily take a half-mutilated zombie with a golden heart over a normal person with a heart of coal. Yeah, and that's the thing. If we're going to talk about defining monsters only as something with evil or malicious intent, human beings, unfortunately, they fall into that category. Not collectively, but you know, it's there. It's let's put it into the terms of Hunchback of Notre Dame. How even in the beginning, in the starting song, we're asked the question, "Who's the monster and who's the man?" And it really that comes down to what kind of a person are you? You might be widely accepted by other people. You might be in a position of authority. You might be seen as pious or good by other folks, but in your actions, you're doing evil. You're being cruel. You know, like Frollo. And then you.
Segue. That next comment.
Oh my god.
Myself, sorry, 1 second.
I think the ghost of Frollo got back into Notre Dame just recently.
Oh,
Hunchback.
wasn't ready for that pure fab.
Um. But, but yes. It's all relative. It all depends on what you're trying to define as a monster. Like, what is a monster when it comes to human beings, and then what is a monster when it comes to folklore, and so on. Now, obviously, there are monsters who are malicious. There are ghosts that are malicious. I mean, I may be guilty of a sacrifice or two of flaying and devouring certain people, but
Yeah, but you pull it off like wonderfully. So
it's all about presentation.
yeah, if you can do it with a smile, you're not a monster. You're an artist.
Oh goodness, but no, I think that brings up a kind of point where you'll see, let's say, representations of evil, whether that is in creature form, or even human form. Like going back to Hunchback, there are people who are thirsty for Frollo. And they see. I think it ties into certain things like BDSM things because of him, you know, having people whipped and all of that sort of. I think it taps into that kind of thing. But you know, nobody likes Frollo because of what he does or who he represents. But it's, I think it's more they're attracted to the aesthetic of that, you know, sharp, angular, gaunt, almost death-like figure.
So old. You have to be an apex of old for 24 years to pass and look exactly the same.
Hamster says, back in the 70s, 80s, Dungeons and Dragons was analogous to some of this. People didn't understand it and saw the scary pictures. When my mother made me show her the book, she said, "This isn't occultism, it's just competitive algebra." She was a lot more receptive once she got a chance to actually know what it was, which feels very relatable nowadays. Yeah. My parents were similarly against D&D. They took in that whole the hooey.
Panic.
Yes, of the satanic panic. My mother was even very against Harry Potter, and this was before we knew about the author.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Hatsune Miku, who wrote Harry Potter.
Yes. But yet she was against that, and she was convinced that these books would teach in witchcraft to children. Um, and it wasn't until the movies came out that she actually, gave it a chance as far as just watching the movies, and then she realized what it actually was. That these aren't real spells they're saying.
Despite that whole everything, I actually attribute Harry Potter to my actually learning to read, because for the longest time I couldn't spell, I couldn't read, I was really resistant to it, and my mother, knowing that I enjoyed the genre of fantasy and magic and dragons and stuff, she saw this book series that was getting really popular, and she's like, well, let's try reading this together. I'll read a paragraph and you'll read a paragraph, and we'll alternate as we read the book. And soon I was reading the book without her. So good on my mother for doing that. But yeah, there's some wonderful things that came from Harry Potter and Dungeons and Dragons, especially Magic the Gathering, all that wonderful stuff.
But yeah, it just ties into having this idea of how things are versus the reality. And whether it's, you're talking about witchcraft or talking about monsters, it's really all one and the same as far as, folks who are afraid of these things versus those who embrace them. But yeah. What about you? No, you go first, Sunny.
I was just gonna say, would you say that those that are, or bringing out the forks, the pitchforks, or whatever you want to call it, and the torches and everything, and they're ready to freak out about the monsters, the ones that are most afraid because they never took the time to understand it, and the ones that took the time to understand it had no reason to fear it.
Yeah.
The fear of the unknown, I think, is what most people suddenly were just like, oh no, it's evil, because they didn't understand it. It's kind of like science back in the long time ago when people thought it was witchcraft.
Oh yes. Now granted, the early days of science, especially biology and human anatomy, they were grisly times.
Indeed.
Now it ain't that nothing horrific was happening. But yeah, it wasn't about trying to be evil or trying to be malicious. It was basically grasping in the dark for knowledge, which for many people was very frightening, because especially when you're moving from having very limited technology, very limited knowledge, the very idea of wanting to cut open a human body and poke around inside, that was we'll say a very frowned upon idea. that was like desecrating the corpse. It's like, what do you need to know about the dead? The dead. But yeah, it was to gain more knowledge, and the more knowledge you gain about something, the less frightening it is. Usually, the less frightening it is.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Pure fab. You have no idea how many days were just filled with me and my brothers just walking around the house going, "You mo quick Wi-Fi how." You have no idea. Oh man. Magic must defeat magic. Oh, and the hitting each other. Uncle was a staple in our household. I learned everything from Uncle.
Yes.
Lady,
Gosh, so
Lady.
be right back.
Okay, honey. Lady V, your take on more sci-fi monsters, stuff like Backrooms and Cornerfolk. Now, I have not seen Backrooms or Cornerfolk. That's on my to-do list. But sci-fi monsters, things like, I guess we'd go into things like aliens, xenomorphs, Yautja, certain different monsters you'd see in shows like Star Trek or in Star Wars and things like that. I wouldn't say. Let's see. I think the only type of sci-fi monsters that I ever saw as being very frightening. One was definitely the xenomorphs from the Alien movies. Just this idea of kind of this life form that's almost insect-like, that can take over your body, that can it taps into particular anxieties I have about pregnancy. I really hate the idea of something parasitic being inside of me, leeching off of me. It's like, that ain't for me. And I love the xenomorphs, don't get me wrong. I absolutely adore those monsters. But I think that's why they were frightening to me.
I appreciated them for specifically the fact that they brought that fear to the other 50% of the population that have never had to feel that type of fear before.
Oh yes, mm-hmm. And I appreciated the fact that in the first film, the crew was mostly male. I think it was only Ellen and one other woman who were on that crew. And it was only Ellen Ripley that survived.
Yes.
That she's the only one who, didn't get, either implanted or massacred by this very, it's the whole design of the xenomorphs is very sexually charged. And, we have H.R. Geiger to thank for that. Most of his work was very, it was erotic. It was like
lewd.
It was lewd, chat, lewd. But yeah, it. I definitely agree. I agree that it tapped into those anxieties and fears, for more than just women. For people who don't have uteruses, who this usually is not something they ever have to worry about, it brought that anxiety to their doorstep, and yes, I do. I absolutely appreciate that.
Yeah, like I have a problem with people who use that particular fear or horror in their storytelling because it only targets specific people.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I feel like the fear factor should be an equal opportunist. And if you're going after specific people because they're specifically, what's the word, vulnerable to it, I feel like that's cheap and kind of a skeevy way to get your scares.
Mm-hmm.
The Thing is ultimately one of my favorite features. Another equal opportunist.
Yes.
I loved the sense of paranoia, and I love that people are still kind of arguing about The Thing and the Xenomorph Alien franchise about whether or not it's actually a horror flick, or like for the thing, people are like it's not a sci-fi, and just like, and then for the aliens they're like it's not a horror, it's a sci-fi. So it's like they have opposing problems, but they have a similar issue altogether. People are arguing about what their ultimate theme is, or their ultimate genre is, and either way, I think a lot of horror fans are like, well, it's just not, if it's not gory enough, or if it's not, freaky enough, or it doesn't get into your head enough, or blah 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 blah. One of my favorite quotes by one of my favorite artists, Mr. Patrick Tatopoulos, was talking about when he was building the monsters for the first Silent Hill film. I think that was the only one he was involved in. I can't remember if he did the second or third, but when he was building them, he's like, it was a tough to kind of balance that scenario, because he wanted them to be disturbing. He did not want them to be disgusting, because he said if it's disgusting, people are going to look away, or they're going to want to look away, and he didn't want that. He wanted them to be fascinated or transfixed. He wanted them to be disturbed to the point where they couldn't look away. And I feel like that is almost the epitome of horror, because you don't want people to turn the movie off if they're completely turned off by what they're seeing or experiencing. Like, it should be able to kind of get its claws into you and hang on.
Absolutely. Yes. Speaking of sexually charged, PureFab is genuinely confused about something. You're on the shorter side, 5'8", and have a weird, massive weakness for huge sub-monsters. It confuses the boner and the rest of me. Well, I don't... Well, honey, it's quite alright. I don't think you're the only man under 6 feet who appreciates larger women, and larger, monsters. Or man, I don't know exactly what you're into. My apologies for making any assumptions. But no, you're not at all the only person who is into larger partners, and especially
My
monsters.
Exactly, no tech. But may I get into the psychology of it for a second? If
Absolutely.
You're on the smaller side, and you have a thing for the subs being larger monsters. Would it make you feel like you're living in a world where you have little control or little effect on other people when it comes to your size or imposing presences? So when something is large and submissive, it makes you feel a little bit more powerful and in control, but respected most of all, perhaps? I'm still into women taller than me, especially if they have Amazonian physique. Whether they're human or not is irrelevant. Good for you. I could get into the psychology of monsters and preferences in monsters all day.
I mean, please do, honey. Please do. Let's. But yeah, I think that is a valid point to make. If you feel that you are perceived as small, you consider yourself short. The idea of being, that comes with its own connotations in society. There's this expectation that if you're the shorter partner, you're the sub, you're the you're the one on their back or on their hands and knees, whichever. And that too comes with its own, let's say, social baggage. It taps into sexism, considering, most women who are expected to be with men who are taller than they are, or, along those lines, they're expected to be the submissive partner. And so as a man, when you are shorter, I think that you catch some of that too. That if you're shorter, you're seen as less masculine, and perceived as someone who might be more of a submissive person, or expected to be more of a submissive person. But that's, nobody should be expecting anything from anybody based on their height or their sex, their gender presentation. None of that. But I think you can definitely tap into feelings of, being underestimated, being disrespected, and then to have a partner who is larger than you, but who wants you to be the dom, and wants you to be the one who's taking charge and being in control. I think that's absolutely valid. You guys ever need help with the evolution or biology of creatures, I can talk your ear off. Now I love biology, absolutely. But yeah, Smaug. Why don't we delve a little deeper into the psychology of, let's say, kink in the monster community?
What do you have in mind?
Let's see. Well, I guess let's start with, I think there's a very common interest in the monster community, of wanting to be, the one that the monster decides not to kill, the one that the monster is infatuated with, and that you are the one who is safe from the monster.
The final woman, or the final person, as the genres come to call them, the final person. I think is it Friday the 13th? Was that the what's her name was the final person? Was technically his sister? No, I'm mixing that up. Right? Yes. No. Oh Lord.
Can you tell me who the killer was?
Murder guy with mask and Michael Myers.
That's Halloween.
Yes, thank you. Just the fascination with the final girl, just I think, and it didn't really go into it as much in the original, but the Rob Zombie version, the first one, I feel like he kind of really went into, or at least attempted to go into the psychological side of it for the killer and for the final person, and I really appreciated that. Like, I wish people would talk about it more, because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, the blood and the guts, and the way you chop that person apart, and I'm like, yeah, that's great, it's great, don't get me wrong. But there was a real, for me, and maybe I, interpreted it this way, but I really interpreted his fascination with the final person to be very protective and wanting to reconnect with the only family member that did not do him wrong, which is really fascinating for somebody who's on the scale of with a severe psychopathy.
Yeah, there you go.
I found that absolutely fascinating, and I thought that that's what made the remake, I guess you could say, or the redo, to make it almost better than the original, which, blasphemy. But
hello, Amy. Oh
no.
Hello.
My.
I hope everything's going well for you. I had to take a step away for a little bit to help with a few little things.
Of
I
course.
hope everyone was alright feeling well.
Christ, look at that! God help us!
Thank you, Pure Fab. But yes, we're doing all right. very glad that you're back with us, honey. We're talking about the psychology of the kinks when it comes to monster fuckery, as it were.
Oh, yes, the technical term.
Uh,
I'm going to adjust back to this because I don't think Smog is capable of speaking.
they,
Otherwise,
they
and
might,
I'm
they might,
not entirely convinced that you are either.
they might explode in their jar, and then and then where will we be? Covered in
Yeah,
smog.
exactly. We'll be covered in smog, and we'll have to find a new jar. And that's not a normal jar, by the way. That's a fucking magical jar. You think we could actually capture Smog, of all creatures, in just a jar? It's like, no, absolutely not. Like, the amount of effort it took to get them in that jar to start with was ridiculous. It's like, ah, yes, canned Smog.
But yes, we had just been talking about being a short. Pure Fab brought it up. Being a man who is on the shorter side, but desiring large, monstrous partners who are submissive. And I'm glad that you came back because I feel like you can speak to this.
Oh?
I
Go
pos-
on.
I postulated. Let me see if I can find my phrasing once again. I postulated that perhaps it might be that due to life experiences being on the smaller side of the spectrum, that there perhaps is the desire to have some semblance of control and to have a large or monstrous partner who is submissive kind of simulates that sense of respect that you desire.
I think that that's not an outlandish theory. I think a lot of it is personality and person-based.
Oh, yes,
I
absolutely.
myself find more appeal in power myself. And what more power do you have than to, instead of slay a dragon, fuck it into submission?
Smog, for whatever reason, makes me think of Hexus now. Well, now that's a powerfully effective entity.
Oh yes, that was another awakening for me, honey.
I mean, it was voiced by Tim Curry. Of course, it was an awakening.
but let's not
Fair enough, though. There is a bit of Hexus, I will say, in my design. Which you can kind of see.
Ah, it's fair.
I mean, remember when he evolved and started melting?
Yes.
It's basically, it's not too terribly far off.
No, in fact, when I was a kid, I was hoping he was going to stay like that before he added the layers, and I was kind of a little bit disappointed when more layers started
I
happening.
mean, that's Fern Gully in of itself. It's just a disappointing movie.
Hamster says, first significant other was 6 foot, and she was often frustrated by people assuming guys only dated her to fulfill kinks or fill the checklist. We initially met online and focused on being friendly and letting her set the pace. While it didn't last, she said afterwards that it really helped her be more trusting of people. That's lovely. That's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Yes, because, as as an unconventional woman in appearance, I can relate with the experience of there being people who do fetishize me, purely. Now, in this space, honey, I don't mind. I don't mind who is fetishizing me. Y'all are behind a screen, and it is quite all right. I can eat you up and tear you apart and do as I please. That's fine. But as far as my host, the woman that I inhabit, we share memories, and I recall the memories of being a person, being a woman especially, who don't look exactly like what folks expect a woman to look like. And there being people who chase after my attention, and it's very clear that it is not because they like who I am. It's not because they care who I am. It's because I look a certain way and I fulfill a certain sexual desire for them. And that doesn't feel nice. It doesn't feel good.
Nobody wants to just be an object.
No.
Like,
No. But, that's why it's good that that I found her and took her as a host. Because I can just kill and flay and eat those kinds of people up for dinner. But yeah, let's see. Well, Smog, let's see. Wait, hang on. Amy, I want to know, what kinds of monsters do you like best?
I like strong monsters that command a presence. I traditionally am not a massive fan of overly humanoid monsters. I would rather, if I am seeking a monstrous partner, then a monstrous partner they be. Not more the thing than the host. I would say. Because I feel like there's a level of beauty to them, and there's an honesty that is there that I find to be appealing in of itself. I think that, though, a lot of it comes down to the personality of the monster. Like, the xenomorph queen is very protective and cares very effectively for her offspring and for her children, and I find that to be a very appealing trait. I find Yautja to have quite a lot of honor, and though they're more on the humanoid side, I also think that their very strict set of rules and how they interact with things around them are an appealing host of traits.
Hello, Roderick. Hello. Thank you for joining us. But yeah, so Smog, what would you say, what would your opinion be on the psychology of enjoying, monstrous monsters, things that ain't humanoid?
Well, the first
Psychoanalyze me, Smog.
Well, I can tell you right now that anything that I assume or think is probably going to be far, far off. But I feel like, and I think I spoke with Lady Viscera earlier. But the first place that my mind goes to is the further away from humanoid that you get, the more comfortable you get, because with humans, it's like, you ever see that game, that tricksy game where somebody will put a ball or a shell or something underneath a cup, and there's like 3 or 4 cups, and they like mix the cups around, and you can't tell which cup's got the ball or the shell. I feel like that's humans. Humans all look the same. They all have faces. They all have the same expressions and ways of expressing themselves. I mean, variously, obviously, but trying to figure out who is genuine on the inside and has that, a good heart on the inside versus something dark and twisted on the inside that is ready to use you, abuse you, or anything like that. And humans are a terrible guessing game, and one gets tired of having to sift through the muck of human expressions and figuring out, okay, well, are they telling me the truth? Are they being forward? Are they being honest with the things that they're saying, or are they, sugarcoating stuff? Or are they pulling the wool over my eyes? There's so much to miscommunicate when it comes to humans, and it gets tiring after a while. So when you see monsters that don't look anything like a human being, you first tell yourself, well, I already know what I'm getting myself into because it's a monster, and I can handle that a lot easier than having to go through an entire volume that's inches thick, like a freaking dictionary, to try and figure out the language, and the body language and the tone of voice, and trying to translate what a person is meaning by what they are saying, if they are indeed talking about what you think they're talking about, whether you can read sarcasm, can't read sarcasm, can't read facial features, or have struggle with speech patterns and stuff like that. Whereas with a monster, what you see is what you get, and the less human, the better, because it's basically you can start from scratch, and it's a lot easier to understand. Whereas human by human, it's like each human has their own dictionary that you have to learn, and it can be tiring. So that's where my brain goes, is that monsters are honest about who and what they are, whereas humans are almost never honest and upfront with who and what they are first being.
Yeah. And even if they're not trying to, even if it's not malicious or anything, I think that there's a general anxiety with humans, because they're so preoccupied with what other humans are going to think of them. And they're afraid to just be themselves. And it's often because, sometimes who you are or how your personality is, it might rub some people the wrong way, even though you don't mean it to. And so you have all of these experiences. It's like, well, I can't be myself. And so we all have a bit of a barrier where we put on a bit of a mask until we feel comfortable with somebody.
And then you take it off. Or if you got a mask king, the mask stays on.
Oh, yes.
The mask stays on.
That is another thing. That's another thing I want to talk about, which it applies to monsters and slasher killers and everything. There is something about, and let's say Pyramid Head. We use Pyramid Head as an example.
Glad we chose the one with the biggest ass.
Well, of course, got to choose the one with the cake. Or hang on, PFF says, in the same boat, honesty gets me with aliens in general. Give me a Biren who likes to flirt with me and I'll be happy, and I feel that sums me up as well. There's paranoia of people due to issues in the past, so feeling that the more monstrous parts are up front. Yeah.
I'm glad my assumption, or at least my observation, rings a little bit true.
But Mask Kink, with Pyramid, I think Pyramid Head was probably the first one, for me anyway, where I discovered that was something that I liked, not being able to see someone's face, there's something very erotic about it, whether it is a monster or a killer like Michael Myers or Jason, there's this certain level of not knowing who this person is, and I think I would wager to guess that part of the appeal of it is that they can't deceive you with their face. They can't pretend to be friendly. They can't pretend to be anything other than their actions. And so there's a certain purity in that, but it's I think it's that, like, mixed just with the mystery of, it's like, who is this person? But with Pyramid Heads, I just remember the first time I was playing that I think it was Silent Hill 2 is where he pops up. But just immediately being drawn to that character. And obviously, like in the original game, he's not as buff as we tend to see in fan art.
No, because they didn't know he was hot yet.
but he was this executioner character basically. And of course there was the scene with the mannequins. So we know it's like, all right, well, we know this monster fucks. But no, there's something about monsters who don't have, a face, or at least not a visible face, like yours truly. There's something very appealing about
just
it.
As an example of someone who's terribly appealing, just, out here, just humbly, outlandishly beautiful. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about, Amy.
That's crazy, man. If only I knew a masked individual who made me feel a certain kind of way.
Oh, but yes, I couldn't pretend to know all of the psychology behind it. I know that there is some kind of word for it. Apparently, I don't know what it is. Someone told me once, but with all the souls I have consumed, honeys, the memories get mixed and jumbled up, and I forget all kinds of things. But I know that there's a word for it for this mask kink, apparently. And I know that it's very common. So there's something to it. There's something that human beings really like about, not being able to see someone's face.
Which is interesting because it goes against every single thing about our biology, about seeing faces in everything, and having to look out for predators and see eyes in places. So to be attracted to something that does not have the features that our biology is constantly looking for is quite interesting.
That's why I feel like it has maybe taps into that same thing we were talking about, where the further away from human you get, the more honest we perceive something to be. So the less we expect any manipulation or trickery or anything like that. And like I said, we can only judge them by what they're doing. We can't read their emotions. We can't see any kind of false presentation, false happiness, deceptive expression that they might be wearing on their face. So they're boiled down to, not reading necessarily as human, but there's the honesty of whatever it is that they're doing, because that's the only thing that you have to judge them on. It's like, all right, well, I can't tell what they're feeling, I can't tell who they are, so the only thing I have to go on is what are they doing. And when what they're doing is fucking me, well, oh yeah, I couldn't pretend to know all of the psychology behind it. I just know I like it.
I mean, at a certain point, there's really not, why worry about the psychology? I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the sound of my cervix being pounded. Ankles.
Angles. Amy knows them.
That is such an abstract reference to a time I killed fucking dinosaurs. I can't even.
Put me up on the shelf. Put me away.
No. Sometimes your upper head doesn't care when your lower head is going to town.
When things are getting heated, we just put Smog in a spice cabinet, I'll be honest.
It's too bad jars don't have earmuffs or earplugs.
We have, on more than one occasion, seen Smog try to drown themselves in rice. Because it's the only thing in the cupboard.
Oh, yes. For anyone who is just joining us, I am joined by Smogteeth and
Hello.
Lord Amundal. And there's some... Oh, I did that wrong. Hang on. There we go. And... there we go. But yes, they're two of my dearest friends. And we've been talking about monsters, everything to do with monsters.
Necros, stop it.
You put Smog in the spice cabinet so they can experience some spiciness as well.
So long as Smog doesn't have an allergy.
But I find it very interesting. I find it very interesting that you're over here, Smog, pretending that you ain't just as spicy as we are.
I like to hide it well.
Smog's got a subversive spiciness. It's like a cayenne or black pepper spiciness, where it's not forward on the tongue. It just you feel it the moment it hits the back of your throat, which I think is roughly very accurate of Smog.
I hit you in the back of the throat, Amundal?
I mean, sure, Smog, if that's what we want to go with this analogy, you want to really lean into that, I'll fucking double down.
Regret everything.
That's alright, I love you too.
Oh, thank you, glitchy bastards. Oh, I appreciate you. Oh.
Another question. PFF has another question. More psychological. All right, honey, hit us. What you got?
Lay it on me.
King Necker says, Smog, I thought you learned by now you can't outdo Amundal when it comes to innuendo.
It's unintentional. I try my best to see innuendo coming, but I bumblefuck into it time after time after time.
To be fair, I certainly I put a gag order on myself, and I tried to be as polite and rated E for everyone as I can be.
Well, I think that's part of my problem, especially with the harem. I am rated E for everyone. I just play favorites. I'm not even gonna lie. There's like 2 members of the harem that almost always exclusively have my attention.
Oh, don't worry about it, Roderick. We are all indeed the same here. I am just very...
Smog pretends. Smog likes to play. Smog likes to play
Smog does
pretend.
Smog is worse than me. Smog pretends.
Smog is into role play, as you can see.
Yes.
Role plays as a pure and innocent creature who would never say such things. Not ever.
Oh,
no. They would never.
Crass. No, Smog is smiling friends on Adult Swim. Viscera and I are primal.
Yes.
Amy and Viscera come on at like 1 o'clock in the morning. That's when they...
It's true. And Smog's just sitting there in a corner, like, cooking. Like, don't mind me, guy. I thought we were gonna have some pancakes. Pancakes I specifically will not share. I'm very, very peeved with Smog. Smog just sends me, like, pictures of them cooking.
You were doing your own thing, so I was doing my thing.
Yeah, I noticed you were doing your own thing, your delicious, delicious own thing. Thank you for sharing with the rest of the class. Smog fucking ass starts with, hey, gonna make pancakes, want some? And then just sends me update pictures.
Smog is the kind of creature who does that and would eat that food right in front of you on video and just be like, oh, it's such a shame that you can't come over here and have are you sure you don't want to hop on a plane and just pop over and have a few?
Only I had Amun Dal here, it looks like I made too many pancakes. Well, here they go, into the trash. Ah, what a shame.
Listen, you guys had your orgasm, I had mine.
Yeah, I could tell, I could smell it from here. Apple cinnamon, fuck.
Oh my god. Okay, PureFab says, I'm bi pan, but in terms of monsters, I absolutely love guys like Angel Dust, Metaton, and Stolas with guys, and gals like Undyne from Undertale. I'm always curious just how it seems to go roughly in the middle. Well, I think...
Hey, like I said, androgynous is a really beautiful look.
Oh yes, oh yes. Well, I think it just speaks to being bisexual and pan, honey. I think that's par for the course, at least for me. I mean, also being someone who identifies as pansexual. When, and it's funny, when it comes to women, I tend to like them more masculine or androgynous. I'm generally not sexually attracted to high femme women. But when it comes to men, my tastes run a bit more wide, where I can appreciate, the man's man, buff, lumberjack type of man, the chubby sweet kind of man, trans man, androgynous man, feminine man. So yeah. Legit made them last night with eggs and bacon and homemade maple syrup from my neighbor's band Smog.
Fuck. Just that. That's it. That's all you get.
That's the sound of Amy getting hard.
No. That's a different sound. There you go.
Gosh, I could tell that.
Pure
Put that
Fab
away.
Pure Fab says, I admit I have a type, but I'm pretty much the pulse is nice, but not required. Oh. And that's right. That's right, King Negris.
Hold on. You know what? Fucking hold on.
Oh no. Oh no. Close your ears, children. Close your ears, children. We're nothing to hear here. La 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 la.
Let's see.
Oh no.
No, see, that's the sound it makes when he runs, honey. When he's when you've got a bit of a helicopter going.
Yeah, there you go. Hold on. Here. Let me just. That fucking paddle hurts like shit, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's got little hearts in the middle of the engraved wood, so it's really cute.
Aw.
I literally always keep that by my desk in case I need it.
Just in case.
Just in case. I don't know if this makes a different sound. It's a little louder.
Pure Fab, swear to God, this whole stream is chaotic, horny energy distilled. Honestly, this is just the kind of things we talk about off stream, anyways. We're just.
Honest, this is the closest to realism anyone has got to seeing us behind the screen. We are, we're monsters. It is what it is. What do you want?
Yeah, what do you expect? Do you expect us to talk about normal things?
Yeah, I mean, these are our normal things, yeah. Helicopter, Apache, or Huey. I don't know. Which one's bigger? Which one will you choke on? Could you imagine a helicopter blade that had its actual blade swapped out with fucking like a paddle? That shit is the funniest idea in the world.
Oh my God, Small. Are you giving recipes now?
Maybe.
Are you enabling other people to cuck their friends with food?
Now, Slog, I feel like that's a poor idea.
Oh, I think it's exactly the best idea ever.
Is that so? Because I don't think so. I think you're just trying to get a rise.
Is it working?
That was the sound of that was the sound of him just presenting the proof that it's working. Just whap right on the desk.
I don't know about that. But I'll say, shut up. Don't worry about it. Also, Slog, to answer your question from earlier, yes, the voice changes and has layers. It is different. Just wanted to make sure you knew.
As long as we're all taking no.
Oh yes.
No.
I think yes. Now, why don't we sit back and analyze Smog for a moment?
No.
Now I think, you do seem to enjoy presenting people with things that they just can't have, honey. You just love to hold it in front of their faces, letting them know that, oh, this is something you could have, but oh no, I guess maybe not. Maybe you ain't earned it yet. And you take it away. You eat it in front of them. And you just go away. It's like, oh no, you can't have that, can you? Oh, poor baby. And I think it speaks to a bit of a dom in you. I think you like having that that power over people. Of having something
like a bit of power.
having something they want and they just can't have it. You just let them see it. It's like, oh no, but you can't touch. You can't have it, honey.
Well, can you blame me? I'm stuck in a jar. I don't have a whole lot of control of anything from here.
It's true. It's true.
Take off the top.
Should we release you into the world, Smog?
One, I'm not ready for that. Two, they're not ready for that.
Oh, I see No Tech has redeemed.
Oh,
A growl. No. You don't like that, do you?
That's not it at all.
Let me try one more time. Oh, I got 2 growls, did I? Oh. Oh goodness. Oh no. Let me just rectify that now. I hope y'all appreciate that now, honeys. Now, let's see. Is there anything else we want to talk about when it comes to monsters? When I first found this Twitch, never expected to... Thank you, King Necros.
Amy, no. Amy, no. No. Viscera, keep my jar locked. Please keep my jar locked.
It's alright, honey. I got you. It's okay. It's alright. It's alright. I will just...
Wait until I find the jar opener.
Don't worry, honey. You can hide yourself right in my bosoms. There you go.
It'd be a shame if someone were to cause that to quake. I sure hope, Smog, you don't get vertigo or motion sick.
Oh no, Smog. Oh dear. Oh, I'm just trying to... Oh, there's a fly. I'm trying to swat it away.
Wow, the amazing self-filling jar.
Christ, look at that. God help us.
Boob top.
Here's Amy with a can opener, you hero pop.
No, this team, I don't want it. I don't want it.
I know. See, that's the thing, Smog. I'll find ways to get to you through that jar.
Oh, I just realized that Spindly Gamma redeemed Ara, ara. Mmm.
Yup, they certainly did. No. Whoa. Yeah, they did. They did indeed.
Hmm.
Don't sound so self-satisfied.
Oh, no,
Not
please
my
do.
situation. That does not help my situation at all.
Oh, it's quite all right, honey. I gotta make sure that anytime you leave the woods onto Terramar, they're gonna hear you coming. By the clatter of that bone against your thighs.
We both know it's not just one.
Oh, I guess that technically counts as a free lore information little tidbit there.
I will let you both.
Take notes, everybody.
Guess we don't have to redeem for that question.
Now, for what they look like, that's gonna cost a pretty penny.
Don't I know it? Don't I know it?
Amy.
That was what I was hoping for. I like that. The little hitch. That's what gets me.
Shame on you.
Shame on me. Really?
Yes.
Really?
Startling a lady in her own territory. I mean, honest.
You know, Amy, it feels really good when she does that down here.
Oh, does it? I'll take your word for it. I'll investigate that later. Oh, yeah.
Pure Fab says that's actually a month.
I'll let you guess how many points I have, but it's more than you'd think.
Oh, I'm gonna kill you. Your take on full
Beat you to that punch.
Your take on full skeleton guys and girls. What's your guys' personal take for the lewd art and psychological aspects? Because honestly, a skeleton twink is cute as fuck to me. Well, honestly,
I'll just tell you this. Just keep your eyes open. You will see.
well, like I was talking about earlier on in the stream, I'm
Mother apologies. Mother apologies. Mother apologies.
You're forgiven, Roderick. It's all right, honey. But as I was talking about earlier in the stream, how one of my early childhood crushes was on Jack Skellington. So I've always had a thing for skeletons. Amy, of course, being the most recent. Even when he is making a nuisance of himself.
Making a nuisance of my... Would you like me to be a nuisance?
No, I don't think you. No, I think you've been enough of that. You behave yourself, my lord.
Okay.
You hush.
Calm down, you two.
But yes, there's I think and we can see examples of what I would consider attractive skeletons in what was that one with the Corpse Bride. There's the Corpse Bride. Coco.
Question
What?
though, does the Corpse Bride count as a skeleton or does she count more as a zombie?
Well, you know what they say. Once they start rotten, don't come knocking.
Uh, I don't know. I feel like she's very skeletal. Now, she's not a complete exposed skeleton. Counts more on the zombie side since she's got more flesh than exposed bone. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I feel like there's nothing much inside of the skeleton. There's no there's no gore. There's nothing like inside
No.
the skeleton. The flesh still being there. So does that make it more of a mummy then?
That's true. I think it would be more
Like a tool or the like, I would think.
like a ghoul or a mummy, something like that. Yeah. But no, I think psychologically, an attraction to skeletons. Well, it might be. There is a very old theme called Death and the Maiden. And we see a lot of artwork and music dedicated to this theme of, and it's basically, you know, a dance between life and death, and the you know, the beauty of life up against the like the unknown and the darkness and perhaps perceived evil of death, but how beautiful the two things are together. And I think that is probably something that has been with the human race for quite some time. I may not be able to speak entirely to the psychology behind it, but I do know that it's an interest and an attraction that has been with people for as long as we can remember. At least into, you know, recorded human history, there's been a fascination with, if not a fetishization, of the human skeleton. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Smaug?
It's a tough one. You kind of forcing me to think outside my box a little bit. Skeletons. Well, I can only really speak from my personal thoughts on why I adore skeletons so much. And being an artist, it's literally I have got skulls upon skulls on my walls, and most of them are replicas because it would be illegal to own, or just plain disrespectful to own certain skulls. But when it comes to my art and the things that I sculpt, I adore the skeleton. I have so many photos that I took. I think it was a deer skull cap that I received in trade with somebody, and I just took these, not really microscopic, but these really zoomed in photos of just the details around the eye sockets, how the bone wrinkles, and it's got these different textures. And like when you think about bone, you kind of almost think about a flat, kind of solid surface, but the organic shapes that happen in the cracks and the waves of the seams in the skull, or in the seams of, say, the rib cage where the bone meets the cartilage, stuff like that. I just think it's just so absolutely beautiful. There's something almost mechanical about, especially the human skeleton, in the way that it moves and is articulated, especially the spine, the repetitive patterns. And I feel like Giger was kind of in love with that aspect, as well as the repetitive patterns of like the ribs of the spinal column. There's just something beautiful and attractive about that pattern, because as humans we look for patterns in everything. We'll see patterns where there are none. We will create patterns where there are none, or we will find patterns where nobody else is looking. And I feel like the human skeleton is no exception, and it kind of brings a sense of, I guess, serotonin to the brain. Seeing those patterns and Now, as far as the attraction to it goes, it kind of goes against what I said earlier a little bit about the non-familiar things and being attracted to the non-familiar things and why. But with the skeleton, it's kind of like you remove what we know about it is we remove what's human about being a people's, our facial expressions, our body language, our eye colors, and what identifies us individually and differently, our hair, our skin color, our the shape of our ears and nose and whatnot, if we're tall or short and whatnot. But then so you've got this almost monstrous figure standing before you once you take out the organs and the musculature and the flesh, and there's nothing but a skeleton remaining. But at the same time, the foundation of the human shape is still there, so it's still familiar enough to be to bring comfort and not be so completely alien from what you know, that you can still be attracted to it because it still is something that you're familiar with in as far as shape goes or silhouette. That's my guess. That's my initial, I guess, knee-jerk reaction to it. And that's just my perspective. So, what about you guys?
PureFab says, in a weird way, I think my love of skeleton monsters kind of goes to my trust issues as well. It's almost a form of they can't hide anything from you. Granted, if it's stuffed with curves, then that activates the love wand a bit more. Just who you talking about, PureFab?
Yeah, it's something I know. I've got wild childbearing hips, and they don't lie. A rib cage that can hold quite a bit of capacity, so it makes sense. I get it. I'm fucking astounded. Thank you. Long Midwesters. Good one.
A specimen, if you will.
Yes.
A unit, they're called me. I think there's purity and sanctity in bone itself. It is as pure and distilled as you get. What's more pure? What's more distilled than a bleached bone? The alabaster sanctity of it. It's the most naked a human can be. Anything can be. It's vulnerable.
I would agree. I feel like there's something very intimate about bone. But no, like if you've ever held a skull in your hand, animal or otherwise, there is something that is difficult to describe about it. There's something very intimate and very honest about that experience, and when it comes to the human skeleton, I feel like most of us, most humans, don't get the opportunity to see a real human skeleton or to touch one. Even in an academic setting, unless you're studying to be a doctor or a physical therapist of some kind. So I think there's definitely something to be said about there being a level of unknown there. But I think it's also just the fact that, going into what Amy was saying, it's the most naked that a person can be. It's when everything is stripped away and it's stripped down to literally the bare bones of what we are. And when you put that into a romantic or a sexual context, I think that it would make a great deal of sense why a lot of people find the human skeleton or even, monstrous animal type skeletons or masks or anything like that very appealing, because it is an immediate vulnerability. Um, and it's an immediate, visible intimacy that can be both frightening and appealing. And it, yeah, I
I
think.
think there's a lot of parallels you can have with it too. The first time you're new around a partner, there is a lot of that very specific, you know, that vulnerability you have for the first time. There's a level of acceptance that you both kind of you settle yourselves into. It can be, you know, a quick thing or it can be slow and steady, but I think intimacy is in the nudity of it.
I think that's it's beautiful, and that's a perfect word for it too, because it just makes me think about how the skulls that I have and the bones that I have, they tell such stories, and they have so many things to say about the things that they've experienced in life. I can tell the age and the uniqueness of the hog skull that I have, the two human skulls that I have, tell very unique stories about the ends of their lives. Unfortunately, grant you, they are replicas, but there's so much to tell about, you know, the age and the experiences that they had gone through in their life, and it's like you said, very honest and very raw, and like you said, the bare bones.
Well, yeah, and I think that it's interesting that even replicas of bones can still hold that level of beauty and intimacy and vulnerability, even though it's not the bone itself. It's almost like taking a snapshot of of the skull, but you can actually touch it and hold it, and it still copies any kind of damage that the animal may have had in life. You can see scars or injuries that tell a story about, you know, what may have ended its life or that it may have survived through. But yes, I think that all of that taps into the fascination and even attraction to skeletal monsters. And yes, Pure Fab, I love that we can go from absolutely horny to deep in 0.5
We
seconds.
have two modes. You get one or the two, but we got two. I mean, yeah, sure. You can talk to those, and you can have conversations basically with yourself through the extension of an object or the like. Though I will admit, the moment they start talking back, that's a demi-lich. Get the fuck out.
Yes.
Luckily, I don't have lower jaws for mine. I don't allow that.
Okay, good. Yeah, well, if there's gems in the eyes and in the teeth, get the fuck out. Yep, that's a demi-lich. That's a lich that decided it was tired of being a lich and decided it was going to live in the fucking fourth dimension with all the rods.
The goddamn rods.
Rods.
I will never stop bringing up the rods. That was my favorite fucking documentary we watched. We watched old men with a stern face say that they were rod scientists with a fucking straight face. I will never let that die. I have never seen Viscera get more angry at a rod.
Oh my god. I wasn't even mad at the rods. All it is just bugs flying by. Twigs, the things on the wind. But oh my
that's great.
god. Oh, just
No, I will specifically not elaborate. You all have to live in mystery.
Oh,
Skyfish, yes. Oh my lord.
Speaking of, though, one of my favorite It was
Oh,
a
really?
It was a recent video. Yeah, there was these two men trying to get something off of a goat, and
Mhm.
it looked like a bat or something at first, but when they finally like prod it off of the goat, it goes like smoke almost, or like sliding over the leaves, and it was
Ooh, I remember that. I remember you showing me that. Do you know, can you find it quickly on
I can,
YouTube?
yeah. Let me.
Please, please do. Cuz I want to show folks uh this critter.
Is what happens when Smog gets out of their jar.
Mhm. Mhm.
Just goes and starts sucking on goats.
That that's just that's just rude sounding.
Is it? I'm sorry, I don't know. Is that not what was happening in the video? Yes,
No.
Smog is the chupacabra.
Oh. Listen, if you had strangers trying to poke you with a stick and the closest thing for comfort nearby was an animal, wouldn't you hug it?
Yeah, sometimes you just need to hug a wild animal for comfort.
Mhm. Mhm. And you know,
Really, once you get past a
sometimes
certain size, just pick up a bear. Is the Chihuahua of the forest.
yes, Spindly, Smog's looking for the video now, and I actually plan to show everybody, once I have the link.
I would not pet deer, but I would pet raccoons and possums. I do not like deer.
Possums, actually, you would be I mean, you might get bit, but, you don't need to worry about rabies with possums. I know that, what is it? I think that their internal, temperature,
temperature's too
yeah, the
cool.
body temperature is, too cool in order for the rabies virus to thrive. So
And
they,
they're very clean animals.
so they cannot have rabies and they cannot spread rabies. So at
Just
worst,
petting them.
so at worst, if you get bit, you know, you might bleed a little bit, but it's not going to ruin your day.
I mean, you could still fall ill from other diseases. And
Well,
similar
I mean,
things to,
you
like,
could
cat scratch
get
and stuff like that.
you could get an infection. I mean, you should still treat the wound. I mean, goodness. But
Yeah, just lick it. Works for cats and dogs.
okay,
Is
let
it a
me bring this up. Just a moment, honeys. But yeah, I want to show y'all this video because this is a perplexing creature. Hang on. Let me get.
Good thing we put them in a jar.
Oh, please,
Out there hugging goats. Who knows what they'll hug next? This world's not ready for somebody to go and hug a seagull, is all I'm saying.
well, I don't know how powerful this makes me, but I have once hugged a Canadian goose.
Oh my. Really?
Did you throw it?
No, it was actually injured and it was unable to take off, so I actually had to go and capture it with a blanket and then carry it to a nearby shelter.
That's sweet.
And let me tell you, those things are heavy.
Yes, they are weighed down by malice and gravity.
All right, everybody. All right, I'm going to show you this. Hang on. Hang on. Let me actually. Oop, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me do this. Okay. All right. Gonna watch this real quick.
Look at those goats, those precious goats.
I
Sweet
know.
things.
They need hugs.
Little babies.
See, it's just giving it a hug.
You know what? It might actually be. And I'd be very interested if this is how it works.
Hang on, hang on. There it goes. But yeah, just
Wait
look
for it. There's more.
look at
There
it.
you go.
Look at
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. I'll see you later.
I'll be back.
I'll come for the ghosts. They need hugs. The first thing I saw when I looked at that is, you know how daddy longlegs live in piles,
Mhm.
like when things get cold.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be very interested if that's how it happened, but it looked like that in my mind. Just a bunch of those little spiders just on the belly of the goat.
Having disturbed many of those large, and I would dare say larger than basketball-sized gatherings, they do kind of disappear into a cloud.
Yeah, they do. Like, I can't say whether or not that was that, but it also, if it was that, I mean, it left behind clusters and stuff of it too. So that's what made me think about it at the very end. It was leaving behind little smog trails, which is what happens with those big balls. Like those used to happen on like the undersides of slides and things when it was getting really cold. And those things
Traumatizing
can get
children.
bigger. Yeah. I mean, they're harmless, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want one to fall on my head. But yeah, I mean, they get pretty big. Like Smug said, I've seen them bigger than basketballs.
But see,
I'm just saying,
what's
coat's pretty
perplexing?
warm.
What's perplexing to me though is doesn't it usually take some time for those balls to form?
Yeah.
It's not just an overnight thing.
Well, I mean, it can be.
It can be. It depends on how cold it is, especially if it's around like a barn or that. I mean, you know, a barn is where, you know, thousands of those guys can live. And once they see a horde start forming, they're like, well, you know what? I bet that's going to be real cozy. Oh, look, free milk.
It's free real estate.
It's free real estate.
Oh, goodness.
But I like that video. That's very fun.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I love the idea of Smog having a ridiculously long tail. Like 90% of the body is tail. Basically, like those Furbies that were just tails.
Oh, those cursed Furbies.
Yeah, the cursed Furbies. That's all tail. What was that pose? It was only predators have forward-facing eyes, and then it shows an image of a Furby.
That's fair.
I mean, they got beaks. Nobody ever brings up that they got beaks. Those beaks definitely are pointed. That's not for fishing.
PureFab, what do I keep telling you? I keep telling you you need to actually lash that thing down with metal wire and screws and things so it can't move around. If you are bound and determined to keep that thing, you need to get it locked down, honey. Oh my goodness. What you ought to do,
Rear pillow.
what you ought to do is take it back to wherever the hell you found it. Foolish humans. My goodness. All right, honeys. Well, I think that it's about time to retire for the night. But thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, Lord Amundal. And thank you, Smog, for joining us. And I do so appreciate y'all's company. And hopefully we can do this again soon. Alright, everybody. We're gonna head off. Let's see who we want to raid tonight. I'm gonna take a look, see who's streaming right now. Let's see.
I know this one really good, high-quality streamer. They go by the Cryptid Coven. I think you would really like them. They kind of fit your same aesthetic.
Okay. I'm gonna take y'all over to Grim. Oh wait, no. Barry the Bugbear. Barry,
Barry's streaming.
Barry is streaming, I just saw. He's celebrating the fact that he was able to quit his 9-to-5 in order to do streaming full time. So let's make sure that we give him a lovely raid. Let's see, what do we want the raid message to be? Let's see. We will do... let's do Cryptid Raid. Just a moment, if I can pull this up now.
Pure Fab says, hold your dookie, here comes the spooky.
Hold your dookie.
There we go.
I think we found it, yes. Okay, alright. Hang on.
Oh, original hands, but that one's cute too. Monsters have feelings too.
Aww. Alright, so that is gonna be our raid message. So go ahead and copy that. And we're gonna raid over to Barry.
Perfect.
Alright, everybody. Thank y'all so much. Please stick around for the raid. And I truly appreciate y'all spending this time with us this Sunday sermon. And thank you for dressing your Sunday best and bringing your beautiful selves into the woods. Alright now, we will see you soon, and we are heading over to Barry. Good night, y'all.